So then I just did a book review. And one woman came up to me like 10 years later and said, I failed in the insurance business because of you. Now I own a $10 million a year business. Because I never heard of those books. Because everyone listening, you've got to read. There's two kinds of education. There's academic, which is what you've been sold, which is good. But it's not for everybody. But what is for everybody is you read the stuff we just mentioned and the stuff I write, which is self-help action books, because it'll give you what Zig Ziglar, my good buddy, said was a checkup for the neck up.
Welcome to the Manage Self, Lead Others Leadership podcast with Nina Sunday for experienced and aspiring people managers. This show will help you explore ways to become a more intentional leader. Each episode, host Nina Sunday speaks with some of the brightest business minds on the planet who share a passion to elevate and transform team culture. Workplace culture hides in plain sight. Is yours flourishing? Join the movement to make your workplace a better place to work. Are you ready? Because it's time to manage self, lead others.
Mark Victor Hansen, with over 500 million Chicken Soup for the Soul books sold, is one of the world's most respected thought leaders, known globally as the Ambassador of Possibility. Mark was turned down 144 times trying to get his book published and kept going when others told him it would never work. It wasn't a good idea. Today, Mark is glad he held fast to principles of perseverance, excellence, and belief in oneself that allowed him to create the extraordinary achievements in his life. Welcome, Mark Victor Hansen. It is truly an honour and a privilege because I asked and you said yes. Thank you.
It's my joy. I want everyone to learn how to ASK. I know you've got a copy of our book there, but this is a roaring bestseller worldwide, and it's Ask, the Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And my wife and I wrote this, and we believe everyone's got a destiny, and most people don't know it because they've never known how to do it. So we are the first people that said, look, 101 times before you go to sleep at night, you got to say, what is my destiny? What's my destiny? What's my destiny? Now, if you're full of spirit, you say, God, what is my destiny? God, what is my destiny? God, what is my destiny? You're going to wake up in the middle of the night and you're going to know, but you must have an ink pen next to the bed and paper and write it down because it'll come through just once. And great ideas about your destiny are like wet, slippery fish. Oh, yes, I'll wake up in the morning. I'll remember. Everyone says, no, I don't remember. So look, I've been doing this 50 years, traveling around the world, talking and writing and loving every minute of it, building enormous empires. I just want everyone to know it's such a simple technology. We use the same thing to get the title for our book, Chicken Soup for the Soul. Jack and I are in our respective houses, mega best-selling title, mega best-selling title, mega best-selling 101 times each in our homes. And this is 1989, before the internet and the front end of miniature computers. Jack calls me at 2:58 in the morning. Now, I own an estate with 88 chickens. My daughter was becoming a veterinarian and says, Chicken Soup. I said, for the soul. I said, we got it. Now, 144 publishers said, get out of here. That's the stupidest title we ever heard. That'll never sell. And then they all come up to us and said, it wasn't me that said no, it was the other guy at that meeting. And, the point is, there's somebody out there that'll buy whatever you're selling, and everybody is in selling full-time. Managers sell the people that work for them. Owners sell the managers. Husbands sell wives. Wives sell husband. Parents sell kids. Kids sell parents. It's all a sales job, but we all got to learn how to ASK to GET what we want.
We've got to learn to ask. And also it requires self-belief and cultivating the feeling of certainty. Isn't that right?
Okay, so let's talk to that.
Yeah.
All of you that are listening, if you don't think you have the confidence to ask, all you got to believe is that Nina and I believe right now you've got the confidence. We're giving you confidence, which is expanding your ability exponentially. And you don't have to have the confidence. All you got to believe is that we believe there's more in you than you see, because it's always inside out, top down, inside out. Whereas, I'm bankrupt, I'm upside down. I say I'm going to become world's best-selling author. Now, I didn't tell anyone that, but now Guinness Book of Records says, look, I've sold more books 59 times, number one, 2 billion at retail, billion licensing, because I believe that I could, and I'm not done. I'm going to live to be 127 with options for renewal, because that's what I've got written down. Because you got to, number one, figure out what you want. And the way you do that is ask yourself. There's only three asks. Ask yourself, ask others, ask God. Right. And I ask myself, what do I want? I love books. I love to read. I love to write. I love to sell people books. And a book this is the screamingest value. For $20, you get a lifetime of how to ask. And obviously, I've done multiple.
But I've got your other book.
Yeah.
You're a stepping stone along my way. I mean, Aladdin Factor, and I picked it out of my bookshelf. This is what I wrote like 15 years ago. Page 65, anything is possible. That was to remind me that anything is possible.
Well, first of all, thank you for getting that book. And what happened is that Jack and I went to sell all those places. They all turned us down. We went to one publisher at the time. It was Penguin, which got bought by Berkeley. Berkeley got bought by Random House, all of which is more than you want to know. But because we had number 1 and number 2 book in Chicken Soup, Berkeley calls back, and I'd written a book called Dare to Win. I got it somewhere on the shelf behind me. Anyhow, along with 320 other books that have my name and title on it. Anyhow, I'm humble, you noticed. Anyhow, so the lady calls up and said, look, you're doing so well. You got to have this book done. We got to have it in 2 months. I go to Jack, because we were at either his office or my office, writing, selling, doing radio and TV shows, and media, because both of us at the time lived in California. And I said, Jack, they're going to sue us if we don't do this next book. And we'd written down 14 books we'd do: Dare to Ask, Dare to Win, Dare to Ask, all the way to Dare to Know God. And she said, you got to have Dare to Ask, which changed to Aladdin Factor. And Jack said, what do you do about it? I said, Jack, they're suing Mark and Jack. They're not going to sue just Mark. They're suing Mark and Jack. So, well, like I said, what are you going to do about it? And you read the Aladdin Factor, which is a predecessor to Ask. And we sold like 3.6 million like that. It just went crazy because nobody teaches how to ask. Now you say, well, wait a second. The Bible says, ask and you shall
receive.
Everybody knows that, but they don't know how to do it. There's no way, nobody until Crystal and Mark came along to delineate it and said, hey, look, this is a master class in asking. And we're saying, hey, look, everyone, I think this would work from Australia or anywhere in the world. You just go to your cell phone and you go to messages and you type in 21,000.
Yes.
And then when it pops up, write ASK, and you're going to get a bunch of free gifts from us because we'll teach you how to be, quote unquote, a master asker. So 21,000, type in ask. And Chris and I have made all this stuff for you because we want everyone to master asking, from the littlest kid, which, as I told you, I got 6 grandkids, not great grandkids yet, grandkids, and all of them have mastered asking. Our 12-year-old is president of his student body. I said, what do you want to be? And he said, Grampy, that's my name for him. Name? I'm going to be a Phoenix Sun. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, next to Phoenix. And he says, I do 103 throws a D and dunk the basket or I can't go to sleep. And he's student body president. It was his 6th grade, and 800 little girls go, Everett. Anyhow, and I said, and then what? He said, then I'm going to play for him at 18. I'll make $30 million a year. I said, holy cow. I said, then what? He said, then I'm going to be the manager of the team. I said, holy cow. I said, then what? He said, then I'm going to buy the Phoenix Suns. I said, you understand that's $3.8 billion. This isn't chump change, and Grampy's not going to be part of that game. He said, no, I'm going to do it myself, Grampy. You don't have to worry. You taught me how to ask. Jay. So you say, does asking can work at a level of the kids as long, Nina, as the parents don't inadvertently squish them, say, quit asking so many questions, or the teacher says, I'll tell you what's important. You shut up.
Can I tell you one of the favorite sayings of my mother, which I was able to get over? Don't get excited. You might get disappointed.
How is that going to? That's not where you are today. Because
I realized
exudes asking.
You know what? I'm a super optimist, probably because my mother was a super negativist.
That's good, because I don't believe in half glass, half full, or half empty. I believe my glass is supposed to overflow.
Yeah.
The big guy said, my cup runneth over. Well, your cup's supposed to overrun with happiness, joy, fulfillment, peace, success, and the fun we're having on this show.
Absolutely. And I saw you speak recently on the C-Suite Network, of which I'm a member and in the Thought Council. And in my head, I went, would I be so bold as to ask Mark Victor Hansen? And then when our mutual friend Laban said, who's your best dream guest? I said, without a hesitation, Mark Victor Hansen. And he got straight on video on his phone and sent you that video message. So thank you for saying yes so promptly. It was a big thrill for me.
Well, by the way, because I started asking as a little kid at 9 years old, my parents had no money, none, zero, nada. I had to buy my own clothes, which I still do. and I'm thankful. They loved my brothers and me. I've got four brothers, but they just didn't know how to do what I do. And luckily I learned how to ask, and my life has been, yes, I've had ups and downs, and yes, all that's true. We all have three incontestables, I think. Number one, we're all going to have pain. Nobody gets out. Number two, we're all going to have adversity. And number three, we're going to have suffering. Other than that, you say, well, how do I ask my way out of this? Because adversity, you read Think and Grow Rich, I'm sure Napoleon Hill said, every adversity has a seed of equivalent or greater benefit. And you got to look at it. What's the benefit here? And bankrupt got me out of that and into speaking and writing and promoting and business owning.
And COVID got me into my podcast, because I'll tell you something, Seth Godin has a little booklet called Ship It. And it's a field guide, and you had to write, what is your goal? And I said, I'd like to do a podcast. This is 2017. And it said, what's holding you back? And I said, people might laugh at me. I had a fear that people might laugh at me. Now, that was just to get that out of the system, because it didn't stop me from wanting to do it, but it was finding the time. And then COVID gave me the time. And look, it's now in the top 5% globally and growing. So thank you. And wonderful guests like yourself, Mark. And I will add, I did read Chicken Soup for the Soul originally too. So I've been on this path with you for some time.
Thank you. And by the way, I'm listening to Seth still. I've met him a lot, but he's a genius. Crystal and I were with him the first time when he came out with a purple cow. By the way, because we travel too much, it could have been Boston, but his wife has the biggest gluten-free restaurant in the world. And Seth made like $40 million when he was like 22 working for Yahoo. So Seth has learned how to ask and done a great job. And whatever number I give you is wrong, but hadn't he got like 9,000 blogs or something great like that? Have you had Seth on your show yet?
Well, he would be a dream guest for me too.
Well, good. Write him and say, hey, look, Mark Victor Hansen and I are buddies, and he said, you are got to go on my show, please. I'm in the top 5%. He'll go on your show.
Thank you.
Seth is a nice guy. He's bald. He wears cool glasses.
I've got 11 of his books.
Yeah. I don't think he ever wears the same glasses twice.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Well, you say that there's a process to asking questions.
Right.
What's the correct process?
Said the three channels. You ask yourself.
Yes.
Others, and ask God. So I'm bankrupt. It's 1974. The oil embargo hit, and I'd been doing a big business in New York City, and I was building out a plastic polyvinyl chloride, and I went for 6 months. I'm sleeping out in front of another guy's room in a sleeping bag in Hicksville, Long Island, New York. So you can imagine things are not good. And I say, okay, God, help me. What is my destiny? And I didn't know the 101 things to get rid of all the noise and the barking dogs and the kids and all that. So I said, what does he want me to do? God does the opposite. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to speak. I want to talk to people that care about things that matter, that would make a life transformative difference. He said, okay, go do it. I go down to my roommates. It's almost an unbelievable story. It's so magical. This works. 3 roommates, we're having breakfast. I say, hey, any of you guys know somebody young, not bald like I am, not a cotton top with white hair, not a Broadway actor. We're in New York, and not a celebrity or a medical doctor or a lawyer, just a person that I can relate to that's young, hopefully. Said, yeah. Here's my ticket. Take my ticket. This guy is talking to everybody in real estate. The guy was in real estate. His name was John. I fly out there in my $400 pitted window, permanently air-conditioned Volkswagen. Bankruptcy courts in New York at that time took everything, clothes, everything. They sell your mirror, your bed, you name it. They sell it.
Lord.
Yeah, no. It was like debtor's prison in the prehistoric days.
Yes.
Not good. Not. By the way, anyhow. So, thank God they had bankruptcy courts. In any case, I go out and hear this guy, and he's wowing 500 people that are they're despondent, disconsolate, desolate, upset, angry because the interest rate's 18%, so real estate's not selling. So, Chip, I know the next thing I'm going to say is hard to believe, but this is before microphone. So he was shouting at 500 people, And now it's the end of 3 hours, and he did a great job. He wowed him. He uplifted him. In my mind, his talk was immortal. It just was so perfected. But he's now whispering like this. I don't know. And if you can't hear me when I'm mimicking, just tell me. But I go up to him. I say, Chip, Mark Victor Hansen, I would like to take you to lunch. He said, well, I'm good. I said, I want to do what you're doing. He said, no, I'm good. This is a hard, ugly business. You don't want to do this. Go get a real job. I said, no, let me buy your lunch and you just tell me how to do it, and I'll make it work. Don't worry about me. I'm a survivor. Long story short, he said, I own the 5 boroughs of New York in real estate. Do not come in here. Now, he trained me and he trained Barbara Corcoran, who's a billionaire on Shark Tank, right? And it's just sort of exciting.
Yes.
But I said, so what market do I want? He said, life insurance is the bottomless pit for motivation. Now, I didn't own any life insurance. I didn't know what a premium was, which means that's what you pay with. I didn't know what a CLU was. It was chartered life underwriter, means cunning, lonely, and unhappy is our joke.
Oh, okay.
I knew zip. I said, okay. He said, call on 10 people and say, I'm a professional speaker. I teach prospecting, presenting good work options, clubs. I didn't know any of that yet. I go out and call on 10 people. The 10th guy, Nina, a lovely guy that weighed 450 pounds, naked with his ink pen half empty. At 6:30 at night, I parked my car 2 blocks away because I was so embarrassed with that little beat up Volkswagen. And this guy had a big Cadillac out in front of his office. I go in and nobody's at the desk. I say, well, I'll just go to the manager's office. I go back. We befriended each other like that. We're done talking. And then Chip said, go under market, charge $25 a talk for 4 talks. Prospecting, presenting, good work habits, closing, and ask for the check. Say, and the guy's name was Tony, and he goes by Big Tony. I said, Big Tony, do you want to cut the check or have your secretary cut it? I knew she wasn't there. He said, I'm a big boy, Mark. I can cut it. I said, good. He cuts me a check. I'm going, hallelujah. But the time Chip was going on vacation for 2 weeks, I'll never see you again. And chance of you making it is 1 in 1,000 kids. You're not going to make it. I had 28 of those 4 packs booked. I had money. It was so amazing. I couldn't believe it. I had more talks booked than Chip when he came back. And from then on, we raised it at $50 an hour, then $100 an hour, then $250, because I promised I'd teach him how to increase by 10%. And the first time I went in, I had nothing to teach except I read all these positive books like, Think and Grow Rich and The Magic of Believing and
the Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah, and Og Mandino's Greatest Salesman. I just did a book review. And one woman came up to me like 10 years later and said, I failed in the insurance business because of you. Now I own a $10 million a year business because I never heard of those books. Because everyone listening, you got to read. There's 2 kinds of education. There's academic, which is what you've been sold, which is good. But it's not for everybody. But what is for everybody is you read the stuff we just mentioned and the stuff I write, which is self-help action books, because it'll give you what Zig Ziglar, my good buddy, said was a checkup from the neck up, from the neck up, go up. It's like Jim Rohn, who I traveled around and did a lot of.
Let's pause for a moment while I tell you about our podcast partners. Firstly, as certain as we need oxygen, a leader needs a guide to grow our mindset as well as our skill set. Dan Silberberg's Leader Council, starting soon, puts 12 to 15 people into a cohort who work together with accountability partners for the duration, whether 12 months or 6 months. Who is this Leader Council for? Firstly, if you are in a C-suite role in a company with $100 to $500 million turnover, then your organization has enough diversity with pricing power, distribution channels, a finance department, marketing, and sales. This is for you. Go to Dan Silberberg's website, Entelechy.ai, that's ENTELECHY, or find Dan on LinkedIn to request a conversation and mention my name, Nina Sunday. Second option to work with Dan if you're an entrepreneur, founder, owner, CEO with a company with $8 to $50 million turnover. Dan leads a Leader Council for this cohort as well. Secondly, one of my favorite business advice is use OPM, other people's money. Risk their money, not yours. If you want to trade in the futures markets, you can do a course and take a test. If you pass the test, you can use Apex Trader Funding's money, risk their money on the stock market. And if you are successful at it, they pay you commissions for doing that. To find out more, tune into episode 106 where CEO Daryl Martin explains how it works. A link is also in the show notes, and the code to use for a reduced rate is Nina Sunday, one word. Thirdly, want to unlock the full potential of an all-in-one CRM beyond just data storage? Want to scale and grow with automated business processes? Meet Segwick, the new CRM designed for complex sales, onboarding, and customer management, an all-in-one platform transforming how you manage customer interactions. In episode 133, business automation architect Pete Romano describes how Segwick provides tools for scheduling appointments, managing client follow-ups, handling customer queries, all in one intuitive interface. And for a reduced fee on your subscription, contact segwick.com/Nina Sunday. That's SEGWIK, using my exclusive link, segwick.com/Nina Sunday. Now back to our conversation. Oh, I remember Jim Rowan. When I was a kid, my uncle used to watch him on TV.
Oh, yeah. By the way, we were on the same TV channel, the People's Network. So, and Jim and I did a lot of seminars together. And Jim said, you got to work harder on yourself than you do in your job. And it was such a great line. And that means you got to read at least 10 pages a day. 10 pages. And if you got kids, get them to read 10 pages a day and have a family read in. And like with my grandkids, we have a grandkid every month stay the weekend with us, because we want them to learn the best of the best from Mimi. That's why my wife goes to the kids and Grampy. And we take them to hurrahs and say, look, you can buy anything you want. I'll pay for the books within limits, of course, but you got to read 10 minutes and we're going to have a reading time and then you're going to tell me what you read. And we really go over it and they are, they're so excited to teach all this stuff. Isn't that cool?
I really wish more managers would encourage their team members to read a little something of a good book and share it at a team meeting. And honestly, why not just invest in, if you've got 10 team members, invest in 10 interesting books, including these check up from the neck up books, right? But also books on leadership and team membership, that sort of thing. And just start sharing ideas, because most people, if you're not reading, it's the blind leading the blind. You don't have a reservoir of wisdom to draw upon.
Exactly. In leadership, I'm a Horatio Alger Award winner, which means I came from rags to riches and I'm excessively philanthropic, which I got to say about my peers, or like 500 of us alive. But in my class was Dr. John Maxwell, who's arguably a good friend, but is arguably the best leadership teacher. And John teaches that leadership is influence. Now, all of us are here to be of influence. And you say, well, is that in the Bible? Yeah, Psalm 72, Solomon said it clear. You're here to be an influencer of influencers. And that's what you were scared of, is what if they laugh at me? Well, the joke from Robin Williams that fits, I'm going way back to the beginning, is I'm not laughing at you, Nina, I'm laughing near you.
Well, that's great.
And in the blind leading the blind, let's talk to that. In our book, can I just do one story out of Ask?
Please do. Well, I was going to ask you about a couple that I read, about Weiland and people like that, but tell us your story. Your favorite.
Yeah, well, Weiland's one of my best friends. We go diving literally around the world. I'm on his board of directors coming up here in November. Some people are going to be listening to this after, but we're making this.
Weiland is a whale. Well, he is a whale artist, which I remember when I was traveling the States years ago. But he's painted whaling walls all over the world, but including 2 in Australia. One in Bundaberg, which is a couple of hours north of me, and one in Sydney as well. So, yes, Robert Weiland is amazing. So he started off very simply.
Yeah, Weiland paints the biggest walls in the world, and he did 101 murals. And the question was, do you do paint by numbers? No, he's got a perfect photographic mind of images of the sea creatures that we've been swimming with around the world. He and by the way, his real swim partner, much more than me, because I live in the desert in Scottsdale, Arizona, but is that had a National Geographic. I'll think of her name in a second. Anyhow, She's the sweetest lady in the world. Anyhow, but Weiland is now doing the world's biggest sculptures, 100 of them that'll be undersea. So you dive at the sculpture, and it's exciting. And he did the biggest wall in China for the Olympics, and we covered it with canvas for 10 miles. And we said, what is the biggest promotion we could do? Because if you want to sell books or artwork, and he and I had done 3 books together, like starting with Chicken Soup with the Ocean Lover Soul, 10 miles, we had 3 kids from every country, 3 from Zimbabwe in the Z, A to Z, 3 from Afghanistan. So from A to Z in the alphabet, we covered it. And the kids got off, the Chinese got off, the world got off, the media got off. Everybody knows, if you're into art even a little bit, knows Weiland because he has just pulled off magic. And he says, I'm sort of married to the sea because he wants to save the ocean. And we're working on that diligently because we get too much plastic going in, too much garbage going in, too much everything. And you and I are here to be good stewards of the earth.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And when you talk about generosity, yes, I've read the books on tithing, and I've got great stories about how my income doubled within 2 hours of posting my first tithing check in a letterbox.
How did you tell me that story?
Well, I'd been reading, prosperity books and Catherine Ponder and people like that. And I was a student at the time, earning $100 a week. We're talking at the 1980s. And it was holiday time, and I went up to my hometown, which is Brisbane, where I now live, but I was studying down in Sydney. And I wrote a check for $40 being 4 weeks. But I went, but I might need the money, so I'll just keep it in the envelope with the stamp on it and wait and see if I need the money. So anyway, I got back to the airport to go back home, and I went, I don't need the money. I'm here. And so I posted the check in the airport letterbox. When I got to the other end, it was only an hour and a half flight. Someone was at the baggage and recognized me and said, "Oh, hello, Nina. And then, would you like a lift to your door?" So I saved the taxi fare. And then I had a phone call an hour and a half later. Now, in those days, I was teaching speed reading part-time as well. And the owner of speed reading said, "Our CEO is unavailable for some time. Would you be willing to look after the office? It'll only be about 10 hours a week, and we'll give you $100 a week." I doubled my income within 2 hours. And that went on for a year.
And by the way, I did write a book called The Miracle of Tithing, and people say, what's the miracle of tithing? Well, the businessmen say, what's the miracle of tithing? And I said, you haven't been tithed enough lately. I say there's 5 parts to it. First of all, you got to tithe your thinking. That's what everybody forgets.
Yeah.
Then you tithe your time. Then you tithe your talent. Then you tithe your treasures, your money.
Yes.
But the way it all works is you got to tithe your thankfulness first. All T's.
Oh,
Thinking,
yes.
time, talent, treasures, and thinking. Be thankful.
I give thanks. This returns to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I said that as I put the envelope in the post box. Yeah, it's gratitude. It's got to be gratitude. Look, there are so many wonderful stories in the book. What's another one you were going to tell me? I think there was Dr. John Goddard who talks about creating a victory list, which ties in with creating a bucket list. And these are things that you suggest people do.
Dr. John Goddard, now he was the top anthropologist. He's the real story for Indiana Jones, if you didn't know it. He's the original.
Right.
John Goddard, when he was 15 years old, was addicted to reading National Geographic. His parents had no money, never expected to be able to do anything. And John Goddard said, well, I just read in somebody's book, it wasn't mine because he was way older than me, but it wrote that you could write a goal. You set a goal and you get a goal is the way I teach it, but I don't remember what John said. But the point is that he understood that you got to figure out what you want, ask, put it in writing. That's spiritual law. It's not Mark's law. It says, write a thing, make it clear, it'll be established unto you. You got to visualize, you got to see it before you can have it. Visualizing is realizing is a whole book I wrote. And then you got to have a team to get your dream called a mastermind. 2 or more together form a third new invisible mind that goes out and accomplishes the good you desire. So
right.
Goddard wrote down at age 15, 127 impossible goals that he wanted to do.
Right.
How to dive. He wanted to fly the world's fastest planes. He wanted to climb all the highest mountains. And he and I climbed a lot of mountains together. I've climbed a lot of mountains with John when he was alive, and his wife Carol, and my wife. And he was just an amazing guy. But he did all those things. And what he and I taught was you hit one of your goals. I got the milk. I got the bug. And you no. You got to write down victory next to it in the highest color of God, purple, because when you set a goal, you get a goal, and everyone's life pulsates. It goes up and down.
Yes.
Everybody's life isn't straight up. And John Maxwell says everything good is above you. So it's going to be a climb. It's going to be a stretch. It's going to be work. And that is true. But John Goddard set all those goals and did them. And I would go to his house up in above LA. I won't use the city because it won't mean anything to somebody in Australia. But his house was loaded with artifacts because he was supposed to die when, he's the only guy that went down the whole river in Africa and obviously the Mississippi River in America. And he went to Australia a lot, and he met all the Aboriginals and walked around barefoot and did his, what you guys called it walkabout, right? I mean,
yes, indeed.
Right,
yes.
Yeah. So he as a real live, thriving anthropologist, he wanted to do everything there was to do. And he said most people write no goals. And one of his goals was to learn at least 10 good new vocabulary words a day. And it was interesting because he got tested, Dr. Canfield, my writing partner, and I all got tested by Harvard. And all of us had gigantic vocabularies of over 150,000 words. And most people's thinking, this is a judgment, is anemic because they don't have enough words. Now, if you read 10 pages a day, your vocabulary is going to expand.
Your vocabulary.
If you reading class like you taught or teach.
I still teach, yes.
Yeah. No, everybody, you got to take it. I mean, I took speed reading in high school and went from 250 words a minute to 4,000 words a minute. And people say, well, how do you read it? My wife always says, how do you retain all that stuff? And obviously, one of the cheapest things you got to buy is a highlighter. Not only do I highlight it, but I write notes on the front of the book, the back of the book. I own the book, so I can do any dang thing.
That's what I do with every book that I own. These are all notes from your book.
Yeah, you can write all over those books, and it'd be fun.
Yeah, the other people have the silly idea that you can't deface a book by putting notes in it. Marginalia is really interesting if you read someone else's book with marginalia in it.
Yeah. Let me just do one. Can I step away from just
yes, you can.
10 seconds here and grab this book? I'll show you something. Now, I'm a scholar in Andrew Carnegie, but Andrew Carnegie's original interview with Dr. Napoleon Hill when he was only 17 is done in a book called How to Raise Your Own Salary. And I've got 3 different copies of it, but you see, it's all highlighted.
Yes.
This one has ink and initial, and the back of the book is just loaded with copious notes. I want to show you one more other. Anyhow, it just, because people say, does Mark really do what he says? It's nice to talk a good game. No, I didn't get to read 6,000 biographies and read all the books I've read and be world's best-selling author. Remember, when I'm bankrupt, and I heard set a goal and get a goal or whatever, whoever said it, I've modified it and now I made it my quote. And if somebody else said exactly the same thing, I apologize. I don't mean to take from you. Sometimes you forget, but is it because I believe in full, give full accreditation to whoever says stuff. But
yes.
The amazing thing is I set all those goals, and I have my goal journal on my desk, and I write 10 new goals every day because you can't get a goal you don't set. And if you
that's true. Yes.
Ask yourself what the hell you want. No. Let me give you a money example. May I?
Please do.
Okay. So I'm training in life insurance business. The world's best salesman at that time is this lovely senior guy to me, Ben Feldman. And he was out selling 1,500 of the 1,800 life insurance companies in America. Woke up every January 1st or 2nd with $4 million in residual income, made the biggest sales ever. It was on the cover of Forbes and Fortune and Time and everything. And I'm on a program with him talking to 4,000 life insurance agents. Afterwards, everybody's afraid to talk to this guy. Hell, he talks to everybody. He's not afraid of anybody. And if it's like some people tell me I'm intimidating, and you tell me when we're after this, I'm done this diatribe, if I'm intimidated. I don't see it because I'm
Not at all.
inside.
You're just contributing and just giving.
Yeah. So I go up to Ben Feldman. I say, Ben, can I take you to lunch? He said, are you buying? I said, yes, sir. I'm buying. He needed to have somebody buy him lunch. Anyhow, he said, look, boy, how much you making? I said, well, back then, $100,000. This is 1974 is a big amount, right? Wow. It's $400 a day, 250 work days a year equals 100,000. And the goal was everybody to make 100 grand, right? Then you're the king of the hill,
yeah,
right? Because 100 grand then was like $1 million a year now. Yeah. So 50 years later. So Ben said, look, do you have kids? I said, yes, sir. He said, do you love them? I said, yes, sir. He said, the difference between 100,000 a year and $1 million a year is 10. I said, I'm sorry? What do you mean it's 10? He said, think about it. You're doing $400 a day, 250 work days. That's $1 million. That's 100,000. Add 10, $4,000 a day times 250 work days equals 1 million. If your kid's life depended on it, Mark, could you earn $4,000 tomorrow? I said, I would do it. I'd do anything for my kids. He said, then go do it. And I just repeated 250 times, and I did. And I started making $1 million a year because it's all concept.
Yes.
That's why it's so important to catch this, that you got to ask and keep asking. And it's the first story we have in a book that my wife wrote. It's called we wrote the book together, but it's called The Fable of Michaela, which now we're making it into a movie, and she's in screenwriting it right now. Right. And it's going to be free, and it's going to be bigger than Harry Potter, because that's what we ask. Because you can ask yourself for anything you want. Your own wonderful imagination can't give you more than you ask for. Well, God is unlimited. You're made in the image and likeness of the infinite, so you're supposed to deal with the infinite. No, not me, man. I'm just a laundry job worker. I'm just a truck driver. I'm just a plumber. I'm just... You can discount yourself, but God never discounts you. And all I'm here to do is hold up the mirror and say, there's more in you. If you learn how to ASK, you'll GAT more. But read our book or listen to it on audio.
Absolutely. And if you spend a little bit of time reading anything in the quantum physics field, you'll talk, and personal reality, you'll realize that the world is really just molecules, and our thoughts can actually modify those molecules to bring what you desire into reality, like through the portal, if you like.
Well, 2 or 3 things about that. First of all, my wife happens to be a lot of degrees, but epigeneticist, so we buy what you're selling. Number 2 is I just listened to you can go to YouTube and watch my videos or watch others, but I was watching a guy today in a short. I have no idea his name, but he said, look, your life is like a physical petri dish. And when you talk to the molecules, they change at a mitochondrial level. Right. So if you get rid of fear, you're going to live longer.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, that is like so way cool. Because I told you, my goal is to live 127 with options for renewal, because I got it in writing. Because the Bible says, Genesis 6:3. And by the way, I did do Chicken Soup for the Soul Bible. And again, our publisher said, you'll never sell that. You can't sell the Bible. I said, good, write this note. Give me freedom to take it somewhere else. So I took it to Thomas Nelson. They sold 70,000 a week at Walmart, because I got it here somewhere. We did this. We did a purple cover. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, that is lovely.
And it's, brown, and we do a little story, and even my Bibles are highlighted. Which some people said, you're polluting the Bible. I said, no, we do a little story to get you into the big story.
Yes, exactly. Right? Yes. Lovely.
Yeah, and I want everybody to succeed and prosper, but you look, the spiritual runs the mental, which runs the physical, which runs your results. That's what really, God set it up for us to figure it out. And if you really figure it out and you don't get full of fear, you won't age. If you exercise, we now know every hour of exercise, you're going to live 3 days longer. So I exercise every day. I was up at 5 o'clock. We have a place here called the Villages, which we go to, or we climb all the highest mountains here, which are more than magnificent, because you're here to be wonderfully fit, totally alive, and have a fulfilled life and living. And if I meet you, the only people that are ever bored, as you know, are people that are boring.
That's right. Absolutely.
and you've been with him, and I've been with him, and you go, oh, I just want to listen. I had a guy today call and say, I just want to take you to lunch and listen to you. I said, I won't do that. Go do something magnificent. Write a book with us, and maybe I'll listen to you. But I'm not here to waste my time with somebody that is just going to eavesdrop on interest. Go out and watch all my videos. I said, have you done that on YouTube? He said, no. I said, do that. I said, that's as good as taking me to lunch.
So we'll put in the show notes links to your YouTube videos. You did say to SMS the number 21,000. Is that right?
Yeah, 21,000. Type in ASK. Right, ASK.
Right,
yep.
And that will only work in the USA, I believe. It won't work in Australia.
So probably. When everybody's touring America, when you put it on your bucket list and you come to America, just do it here.
Do it then.
Or have one of your, by the way, I told you I didn't know if it worked in Australia because it never, I didn't plan on saying that. And all of a sudden it came to my mind. So other than that, have some American we call ourselves Yanks. I don't know if you guys call us Yankees, but have one of your friends here do it and then just ship it.
Oh, that's perfect. I will do that. Absolutely. I know a ton of them. Mark, look, it's just been a pure joy speaking with you, and we're sort of coming to the end of our time. You do talk about the 7 roadblocks to asking in your book, and that's very useful because the ones I picked out was unworthiness is the first one you mentioned, and are people really? They get this feeling of unworthiness, perhaps from parental or teacher negative names for them, that sort of thing?
Correct. We did it as 7 roadblocks to asking, and the first one is what you said is unworthiness. And all of us have some of us have all of us, and all of us got to conquer them. And the way you conquer it, life is a story, and that's what we teach. And I own a company called Mark Victor Hansen Library where we ghost write books, fiction, nonfiction, biographies for people, and we charge them for it. But the 7 roadblocks are: number 1 is unworthiness, and we're conditioned, like you said, from childhood. Number 2 is naivete. You don't know what you don't know. 3 is doubt, and 1% doubt, you're out. So, right, people say, how do you sell more books? I said, I never doubted that I could sell books. Now, the publisher said, oh, you've blown it this time. I got teenagers. You wrote Teenage Soul, and my teenagers buy CDs, concert tickets, and clothes. And we sold 19 million books first year. So, because
you've got chicken soup for the father.
Yeah. You want to grow rich in a niche that nobody's touching, and I'm still doing that. There's right. 8 billion of us. There's 8 billion problems. There's a lot of problems. There's excuses. All of us got to read that and then overcome it, because all of us, like you said, as kids, we inculcate that. We impress it, and we don't even know we're impressing it. While you're in a baby crib, for gosh sakes. Fear, which is false evidence appearing as real. Then you got pattern paralysis, where you keep doing the same thing and expect new result. And then number 7, disconnection. They're all right here. I want all of you to don't get 1 book, get 2.
1 to give away.
For the 178 questions in our book with whoever's significant, your spouse, your best friend, your business partner, your church, temple, ashram, mosque partner, whoever. You go over these questions and you change your life. If it doesn't, I'll personally give you the money back. How's that?
There is no need. It will work. And I've just spent a wonderful week in New Zealand with a very close friend of mine who, she's the epitome of a belief. She was a widow, and she believed that her next love of her life would just come into the office where she works. And she just said it over and over. She would tell her teammates, oh, you're dating anyone? Oh, that person is going to walk into the office. And that has actually happened. And she now is in a beautiful relationship. And she's inspired me to be even more focusing on goals and saying what you want and writing lists. So, but speaking with you is living, breathing proof that focusing on your goals. The other thing is vision boards. I do a vision board every year.
We've got them all over the office here. I got these big lights in me, so I can't turn this around without pulling you out of the seat there.
So a vision board really helps. So thank you for being the master of helping us bridge our dreams to our destiny.
It is my absolute pleasure. I want more for all of you than you want for yourself, because you have so much more, no matter how great your life has been, in front of you than you do behind you. The greatest days, no matter what your chronology, are in front, not behind.
And we can certainly start to youth instead of aging.
That's right. Youthifying. Exactly.
Youthifying. That's the word. Thank you so much, Mark Victor Hansen. It's been a true privilege and a pleasure. And
my pleasure.
God bless you. Thank you. Well, wasn't that a whirlwind of an episode with Mark Victor Hansen? Over 500 million chicken soup for the soul books sold. One of the world's most respected thought leaders, known globally as the ambassador of possibility, author of Ask, Bridging Your Dreams to Your Destiny, author of The Aladdin Factor, and just an episode rich with suggestions for how we can bring our best life into reality. You've been listening to Manage Self Lead Others podcast. I'm your host, Nina Sunday. Start telling people what a great podcast this is, because the more people that listen, the more we can continue to bring great influencers and thought leaders like Mark Victor Hansen to the world that needs influencing, that needs elevating, that needs support. So do yourself a favor, start your Ask Journal, start writing things down, start reading books that will inspire you to believe in yourself, to believe that greater things are coming and that this is your best year ever. My name is Nina Sunday. Till next time, bye for now.
Nina Sunday is on a mission to help leaders transform culture. To book Nina Sunday CSP to speak at your conference, visit ninasunday.com to request a proposal. Nina travels from Brisbane, Australia for in-person presentations Australia-wide. Twice certified virtual presenter, Nina Sunday presents virtually, globally, for any time zone.
From the book Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny, here are some thought stimulators that will evoke your thinking. You can write your own, put them in your journal to start weaving them into your future reality. When you own the idea and embed it deep within your mind, it manifests as your chosen destiny. I ask for complete blessings over my entire life and future. I ask for financial abundance and prosperity. I ask to make my great dreams a reality. I ask to be creative and original. I ask for great plans for my future. I ask to be delivered from lack, limitation, and shortage. I ask for forgiveness. I ask for love. I ask for joy. I ask to be happy and make others happy too. I ask for windows of opportunity. I ask for accomplishments and achievements. I ask to be a wealth builder. I ask to thrive and prosper. I ask for the right breaks. I ask to become debt-free, stress-free, and set-free. I ask for the right relationships. I ask to feel good about my life. I ask to be calm and peaceful. I ask for faithful friends. I ask to fulfill my destiny. I ask to discover my hidden talents, skills, and abilities. I ask to be philanthropic with 10% or more of my wealth. I ask big, think big, and receive big.